We move on to the next item of business, which is consideration of motion on legislative consent 19276 in the name of Gillian Martin on Planning and Infrastructure Bill UK legislation. And I call on Graham Day to speak to and move the motion.
Move, Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Minister. I call Douglas Lumsden.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The SNP government are selling Scotland's countryside to the highest bidder. The Cabinet Secretary is quite happy to travel the world, but she can't even be bothered to meet campaign groups in her own constituency. She would rather spend her time in New York over New Deer. What a shameful display. And this motion today silences communities, Presiding Officer. That will forever be this SNP government's legacy to communities impacted by mega pylons. Energy companies want to destroy our countryside to reward their shareholders, and the Scottish ministers are complicit in it. In August, community groups came together in the Highlands, concerned at what they are seeing in their communities: battery storage, substations, hydrogen plants and monster pylons, environmental vandalism endorsed by the devolved SNP government. I was there in the audience. 2 SNP MSPs, including a government minister, signed up to the following: to recognise and value local democracy and the pivotal role of all our community councils in ensuring that democracy is respected, and undertake to do all we can across our respective parties to secure urgent debates at both Holyrood and in the House of Commons. Now, I thought at last we might be getting somewhere, but since then the SNP government have failed to bring this issue to the Chamber, and the SNP MSPs misled the local community because they knew that the backlash they would have received at the meeting if they told the truth. And I've written to both the Minister who signed up to the declaration and also the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, Gillian Martin, asking when the government will bring this to debate, but cannot get an answer, which is shameful. And in the North East, community councils impacted by monster pylons and large-scale energy projects are meeting in Stonehaven this weekend. Now, will the Cabinet Secretary be there? No, of course she won't, because she's not interested in listening to the voices of concerned communities. And this motion makes it easier for this rotten, tired SNP government to push through energy projects. Of course, this government is quite happy to sacrifice our rural communities to suit their agenda. This government wants to desecrate our countryside, and this LCM will enable the desecration of our countryside. These monster pylons are absolutely huge, and communities are rightly worried. But it's more than about just the size, Presiding Officer. Houses are being devalued as we speak, and farmers won't be able to farm in the vicinity of these pylons. This bill will fast-track mega pylons and other electricity infrastructure to be built, ignoring communities. There is a huge inequality at present. The system is rigged in favour of energy companies. We have a David versus Goliath situation where we have energy companies with deep pockets versus community groups who rely on volunteers and crowdfunding. It's a disgrace. We need a fair system that has community voices at the heart of the consenting process, not this one that looks to silence them. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Thank you. I call on the Minister.
Officer, I'm not at all sure how any of what we have just heard is in any way relevant to the LCM, which is the matter at hand. And I'm not going to dignify what we've just heard with a response. Presiding Officer, instead, I think it would be helpful to provide some background to the Chamber on why we are seeking the approval of Parliament for the motion of legislative consent concerning the UK's Planning and Infrastructure Bill. While land use and planning in Scotland is devolved, the powers to legislate for generation, transmission, distribution and supply of electricity are reserved. Scottish ministers determine applications to construct or install electricity infrastructure under the Electricity Act 1989. The Scottish Government has long called for these reforms, for the relevant powers to be given to Scottish ministers and for the process to be modernised, like it has been across other parts of the UK. Having finally recognised that Scottish consenting needed reform, the previous Conservative UK Government committed to a review in November 2023. Thankfully, these plans were continued by the current UK Labour Government, and the UK and Scottish Government officials have worked together in close collaboration on these proposed reforms. Clauses 18 to 24 relate to electricity infrastructure consenting in Scotland, and 46 and 112 relate to harbour processing fees. These alter the competence of Scottish ministers and therefore require legislative consent. As I set out earlier, the changes proposed in clauses 18 to 24 are intended to reform outdated and inefficient elements of the electricity infrastructure consenting process. The main changes are strengthening pre-application requirements and procedures, for the first time making them statutory and allowing communities to share their views earlier in the process, creating a new reporter-led procedure in response to an objection from a local planning authority, reducing the administrative burden of an automatic public inquiry while retaining it as an option, moving from a lengthy judicial review process to one of statutory appeals, aligning with existing processes under the Town and Country Planning Scotland Act 1997. The Scottish Government intends to consult on proposals for secondary legislation as soon as possible after the bill has received royal assent. This consultation will seek views from a wide range of stakeholders, including communities, public bodies and the industry, so that all voices can be heard in shaping the future of the process in Scotland. In addition, I welcome the productive engagement that has taken place between the Scottish Government and the UK Government, which has resulted in an amendment to Clause 46 and Clause 112 of the bill. These clauses will ensure that the commencement of all provisions relating to the new system of Harbour revision order fees in Scotland will be a matter for the Scottish Ministers only. The UK Government's decision to make these amendments in a devolved area reflects a constructive approach to devolution, and I acknowledge that. I therefore ask Parliament to approve this motion for legislative consent in relation to the aforementioned clauses contained with the Planning and Infrastructure Bill. Presiding Officer.
Thank you. And the question on this motion will be put at decision time. And I'm minded to accept a motion without notice under Rule 11.2.4 of Standing Orders that decision time be brought forward to now. And I invite the Minister for Parliamentary Business to move the motion.
Move, Presiding Officer.
Thank you. And the question is that decision time be brought forward to now. Are we all agreed?
Yes.
We are agreed. There are 3 questions to be put as a result of today's business. The first question is that motion 19128 in the name of Douglas Ross on the Right to Addiction Recovery Scotland Bill at stage 1 be agreed. Are we all agreed?
Yes.
The Parliament is not agreed, therefore we'll move to a vote and there will be a short suspension to allow members to access the digital voting system.